Hi guys, it's Jody. Today's video, I want to talk about ready pour paints. And what I mean by that is, there's different brands, the Artists Loft, Arteza, GenCraft, I think PBO even has them. There's a lot of brands have paints that are ready to pour right out of the bottle. They've got their own, kind of pouring medium mixture into it, and you literally just put it on your canvas and make your art that way. You don't have to mix in any pouring mediums or any other mediums. So that's what I mean when I say ready pour. And this is the Artist Loft one. So I had a question maybe a few months back if you could use ready pour paints for the blooms technique. And the person I think was meaning as opposed to mixing up, your paints in a pouring medium, but can you just use the ready pour paints? And I had never used it in that capacity before, so I didn't really have an answer. And, I usually, if I don't have an answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know. But if you have the ingredients, I encourage you to test it, because I'm all about experimentation. But I also filed that away because I said, okay, I have to try this myself. So that is what today is going to be. And a side note, I have used, and this is the Arteza, the ready pour, the ready mixed. I have used these. I treat them as kind of a fluid with all the pouring mediums you've seen me use on this channel for the blooms technique. I'll treat this as a fluid, similar to like a golden, and I'll just add it into my pouring medium and use it as a color. That's the only way I've used it in this capacity. I've never just poured this straight from a bottle and done a bloom, but that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to break this up into two videos because I have two that I've been experimenting with behind the scenes, both straight out of the bottle and then mixing something else into it, and I'll get into that in a second. But this video, we're going to work with the Artist Loft ready pour paints, and then the next video we'll do the Arteza that I showed you. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to do a test with just straight out of the bottle. And I have tested these both with the Australian Floetrol cell activator and the US Floetrol cell activator, where I just do the higher ratio, where it's just paint and Floetrol. So, but then I have also, because these ready pour paints tend to be on the thinner side, so a lot of things will work, but the question is the integrity. Will the cells hold as your cell activator sinks down? Will they disintegrate? Which is why, I use certain pouring mediums, because they hold up well, they stretch well as as you're tilting or spinning, and then they dry well. And that's everything I look for when I'm testing pouring mediums. So I looked at all of that when I was doing these tests behind the scene. And so we're going to do right out of the bottle with these Artist Loft today. And then I also did another test with them where I poured some into a cup and I added heavy gel gloss. If you don't have heavy gel gloss, any gel gloss would probably work. It's something to just thicken it up so it has a thicker consistency as it runs off to be able to hold. So we're going to do those two tests today. That was a bit long-winded, but I had a lot to say there. So now let's go have some fun with painting these and testing these. All right. I've got a little bit of pillows. People ask me what I use on my spinners to keep, the canvas from flying off. And I'll just take a little bit of the white pillow paint, just put a little bit down on your spinner if it's dry, and then just kind of secure it that way. And that way, as you're spinning, the paint's going to flow off and adhere it even more, but it's pretty secure that way. So for testing purposes, I've got a 6x6 canvas. My initial tests, I did small little 4-inch tiles. I don't know how big you can go with these ready pour paints. We're going to try the 6x6. I don't know, what's mixed into them. If you start doing a bigger piece like a 12x12, or you want to go super big, they may not be able to hold up. I don't have the answer to that. That you'll just have to experiment with that. But for testing purposes, I'm going to use 6x6, and I'm going to use my normal pillow, which is the Glidden Premium in Satin. And everything I'm using today in this video is going to be at the beginning in snapshots and also in the description box down below, so you can capture all of it. So this is the Glidden Premium in Satin, and that's about enough to use. Spread it out just a touch. And we're going to do a bloom just right in the center. And I am going to pour directly. The three colors we're going to be using is the Artists Loft, the Old Gold, the Aqua Green, and then the Bright Blue. And we're just going to pour right out. For this segment of the testing, we're going to just pour right out of the bottle. And we're going to do two with these right out of the bottle. I want to do one with Australian Floetrol. This is Oxide Black Amsterdam with Australian Floetrol, mixed at 4:1. And I just mixed up a US Floetrol Oxide Black at 9:1. And there's that consistency. All right, putting down the gold first. That should be enough. And then we're going to put down, I think we'll put down the Aqua Green next. I don't know if you can see the consistency. I'll show you the consistency of them when we do the mixing with the gel gloss. Right now I'm just pouring it straight out of the bottle. And they are, I mean, a very thin consistency. For this one, we're going to use the Australian Floetrol Cell Activator first. All right, that should be enough. Now we're just going to blow it out. Super reactive. Look at how that cell activator reacts. I mean, it does blow out differently because it is so thin. I was almost having trouble where it was going to blow, and there's some thinner lines in here. Whether they hold or not, we're going to find out. But that's how it blew out. Now I'm just going to put a little bit more pillow paint around here, and I'll meet you over at the spinner rocks to blow this out. All right. Here is what it looks like before we spin it out. I did add a little bit of embellishments in there, but you can see the cells are still pretty much holding. So we'll spin this out and see how it goes. One thing I do like about these Artists Loft Ready Pour, their colors and their transparency and the way they overlap just makes for some really cool effects. Getting a little bit of movement in the middle. I'm going to do one more spin to take some more off. All right, I think that's good. This is test number 1. We'll see how the cells hold up and how it dries. And I'm going to go back over and we're going to test with the US Floetrol Cell Activator. All right, same size canvas, 6x6, same pillow, the Glidden Premium in Satin. I'm going to do the same order with the colors, just straight out of the bottle, and we're going to use the US Floetrol Cell Activator. All right, again, this is the US Floetrol cell activator. Oops, I may have put too much, but we're gonna go with it. Whew. That one responds just as well. The response was good on both the US and the Australian Floetrol. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pillow paint. I might just do some quick little swirlies in there, and then we'll spin this one out. So I'll meet you over there. Here it is before we spin it out. Cells seem to be holding. All right. In frame, yep. All right, here we go. Woo! Let's move that over into the center a little bit. I'd like to keep more of those and stretch some of those cells out. I see a little kind of disintegration there, and it could just be from the spin, but keep in mind these Artists Loft paints, most Ready Pour paints are super thin. But that's why we're experimenting. But this, I mean, it's a really cool effect. It's just different, that's all. Let me see. I'm gonna give it one more little baby spin this way. And then I think we're gonna be good. I'm gonna let this, yeah, that's good. All right. All right, here's what that one looks like. I'm gonna put this over with the other one. We will see, you know, how it dries. I thought I'd give you a quick flyover of both of these. This was the first one we did, and it looks like the cells are holding. I mean, this looks like it could be disintegrating, but it was that thin when I blew it out. It's definitely a different look. You don't get the structured cells that you're used to with traditional Bloom's technique pouring mediums. And then here's the second one. That first one was with the Australian Floetrol. This is with the US Floetrol cell activator recipe. Getting a little bit of some kind of interaction happening there. But the cells are more, they look like they're sinking. It looks like it's disintegrating a little bit. And it's probably due to the, you know, the thinness of the Artists Loft paints. So as you saw with those two tests, the straight out of the bottle, it does work. It just works differently, and maybe not how you're envisioning in your head when you see the Bloom's technique, but you know, it is a way of doing some really cool fluid art. It's just not going to be more, the cells aren't going to be as tight, especially straight out of the bottle, because it's so thin. So the next part here, what we're going to do is I'm going to mix up these, at least I'll mix up at least one on camera, because I'm going to do the same thing to the other two, and I don't want this video to be an hour long. But what we're going to do is I'll put some of the Artists Loft Ready Pour paint into a little cup, and then we'll put a little bit of the gel gloss and we'll mix it. And the last time when I was testing by myself, it produced so many bubbles. I actually had to let these paints sit for a few days, like 2 or 3 days, maybe even 4 days. So we're going to mix these up, and then we will paint with them, but I'm going to have to come back in a few days to let them settle a little bit, and I'll show you all of this. So I'm going to bring you down so we can get mixing. All right. I figured for the ease of being able to see on camera, we're going to mix up the aqua green right now, and I've got little 1 ounce little shot glass cups I get at the Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna fill it about, you don't really need that much, so I'm gonna fill it about halfway. So this is maybe about a ½ ounce, and then I'm gonna take my heavy gel gloss. Again, if you have only regular gel gloss, I don't know, regular gel gloss, I don't know if the soft gel gloss, you might have to add more of it in, but just for this sake, I'm going to use the heavy gel gloss because you really don't need a lot to thicken it. So I'm going to take, about this much of the heavy gel gloss, and we're just gonna put it in there, and we're just gonna start mixing. And I might have to add a little bit more. We'll know in a minute here. But it does take some mixing to get this completely and fully incorporated, because you're gonna see little lumps and little bits in there, and you want it to be completely smooth. See if you can see like the bits in there. I mean, that's completely normal, but you want to mix. Even if you're mixing for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, mix it all in. If you have a little device that will help you to mix better, all the more. I only have my hands. But you'll start to feel the consistency change. And if it's too thick, you know, if you go the opposite spectrum and it's too thick and it's gloopy, add a little bit more of you know, just add a little bit more of this in there to thin it out some. You just want it, you know, a thicker consistency, but still running nicely off your stick. It doesn't have to be a certain thickness. It just needs to be, you know, this. Actually, you know what? I didn't show you the thickness of. Let me do that now before I continue. That's going to take a while to mix. Let me just put some more of this in here. I'll mix another one off camera, and I should have done this right away. So this is the consistency straight out of the bottle. I mean, it's barely leaves a trace for not even, I mean, it's almost like water, but it has the tiniest amount of body when you're stirring it, but it is very, very, very thin. And I mean, you saw how it worked. It does work, but your cells are all every which way. They're not structured very much at all, and they might, we'll see how it dries. They might do funky things, they might not. But using this gel gloss in my tests, I found it kind of gave a little bit more structure. You know, it lended to the consistency, and it gave, you know, the cells held a little bit better. All right, the bits are getting smaller, but see, you can see it's produced a lot of bubbles too. This one's almost, you can see, and I'm going to continue mixing, but I just want to show you the consistency as it is right now. See, it's leaving, I mean, it's definitely thicker than it was. It's leaving a mound on a mound there. I'm going to continue mixing this, and then I'm going to mix up the other two colors, and then I will be back. I'm going to let them sit a few days, and then I will be back to show you the consistency once they've been fully mixed. And I'm going to mix it exactly the same way you just saw me do it now, but I'll be back to show you once they're settled and we're ready to paint with them. All right, now we're back. I let the paints rest for 2 days, so they're ready now to be played with and tested. This is another 6x6. And let me just show you the consistency since we've added the gel gloss. You see, it's a lot thicker than just coming straight out of the container. So we're gonna see, and all three of them are like that. That was the aqua green, and then this is the blue. This one might actually be just a touch thicker, but that's all right. I mean, we're just going for experiment's sake. I don't need the consistencies to be exact, but they are definitely thicker than they were straight out of the bottle. And then this is the gold. All right. So this first one, we'll use the Australian. Let me show you that really quick. Again, just in case, this was the Australian Floetrol Cell Activator with the Amsterdam Oxide Black, and my pillow again is the same, the Glidden Premium in Satin. Let's see how this works out. Putting down the gold first. Much nicer consistency than straight out of the bottle. This is actually more of a consistency that you would get using one of the pouring mediums that I use for the blooms and the swipes you see me do using the untinted house paint in the varnish. All right, I'm gonna put the aqua green next. And then the bright blue. And now the cell activator. Just put, whoops, just a little bit more. There we go. All right, here we go. Oops. Whew. Much better. Those cells are super responsive again, but they almost look like they're holding better. They have more structure in them than like what you saw with without the gel gloss. This blew out really nice. I'm gonna add just some pillow. I might put a little swishies in there, and I'm gonna meet you over at the spinner box and we'll see how it comes out. All right, here's what we have before we start spinning it out. I mean, it just blew out beautifully in those cells. Look at those cells. They are holding really well. So I am super curious how this spins out and also how it dries. So here we go. Ooh, wow. Gosh, that is just gorgeous. Look at that. Who knew adding just a little bit of gel gloss into the Artists Loft Ready Pour paints could produce something. Wow, that is gorgeous. All right, let's just do another little, I think we're, yeah, it's not really moving. I think we're good. There's what that guy looks like. We're gonna go ahead and test with the US Floetrol Cell Activator. All right. This is our final test. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use the US Floetrol Cell Activator. And this recipe is the one where it is the US Floetrol at a higher ratio mixed with the Amsterdam Oxide Black at 9:1. And that's the consistency. And this was mixed up 2 days ago when we, in the beginning of this video, it was 2 days ago because we had done it straight from the bottle, and then I let the paint sit as they were mixing with the gel gloss for 2 days. All right, same pillow. Same order, the gold.
Oops, nothing on that. The aqua green. And then the bright blue.
And now the US Floetrol Cell Activator. I gotta bring the camera down, but wow, look at those cells. And yes, this is the US Floetrol Cell Activator. Look at how responsive that is to the Artists Loft paints. Show you up top really quick. I am going to put a little bit of pillow just around the edges. I might put a little swirly or two. I'll meet you up at the spinner box for our final spin. All right, here's what it looks like before we spin it out. I mean, just the cell response. And this is the US Floetrol Cell Activator again. I keep stressing it because I'm looking at it like, what? I'm in awe still myself that at a higher ratio, the US Floetrol will work with the Amsterdam paint. I haven't gone out and tried other paints. The Amsterdam paint seems to be super celly with both Floetrols. So, all right, let's give this a spin. Oh, wow, look at that. Gosh, that is just gorgeous. Huh. Okay, you know, if these dry awesome, winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna leave that alone. Put this next to the other one. All right, I am going to get cleaned up really quick. I'm gonna give you a quick flyover of the of these two. So, all right, here is a quick flyover of the first one we did. This is the Australian Floetrol Cell Activator, remember. Here's what that one looks like. And then this is the US Floetrol Cell Activator that we just did. And here's both of them together. I'm going to let these dry, and then I'll come back and show you the dried results of everything we did in this video and give you my final thoughts on everything. So I'll be back. And I'm back to show you the results of all the testing we did with the Artists Loft Ready Pour paints and the US Floetrol Cell Activator and the Australian Floetrol Cell Activator, both with and without the gel gloss mixed into the Ready Pour. So I've got 4 here that I want to show you. I'm going to show you the both the Australian Floetrol Cell Activator first. This one was with the Artists Loft just straight out of the bottle. As you saw, it was a pretty thin mixture. So, I mean, the cells barely held on. And my cell activator was a good consistency, so it wasn't that. It was just these paints are too thin. But it did, I mean, I love the way these paints dry. I mean, they got a nice gloss to them and so smooth. And they reacted nicely with the Glidden Premium, the pillow. Now, the second one I'm going to show you is the Artists Loft that we mixed with the gel gloss to thicken it up a little bit, and then this was the Australian Floetrol. I mean, just the cell definition, it's just so cool, and it dried just beautifully. Nice nice sheen to it. It doesn't look like, I mean, you can see the difference where the cell activator is, but that happens with every painting. No matter what paint you use, because you're using different paints, they dry differently. So that is completely normal, but this just dried gorgeous. Now with the US Floetrol Cell Activator, and we used just the high ratio for this one, the newer recipe. And so this is the Artists Loft straight out of the bottle, the Ready Pour. And I mean, again, they're just too thin. It's an interesting look, but it seemed to mix just fine with the pillow, and it did dry beautifully. I mean, there's nothing weird about it other than the different textures. And then finally, the Artists Loft, the Ready Pour mixed with the gel gloss. And then the US Floetrol Cell Activator at the higher ratio. I mean, that is just the coolest. I was a bit stunned as I was blowing it out at how well it reacted to, and the cells held nicely. So, and it just dried beautifully. And let me hold up this is Australian Floetrol, and then this is with the US Floetrol Cell Activator. I mean, it's it's pretty hard to distinguish the two. That is how well these Artists Loft Ready Pours react. I mean, I was astounded. I mean, yeah. There's my experiment with the Artists Loft Ready Pour. If that's if the blooms is something, you know, you're looking to try but you don't want to invest a lot of money into, the Artists Loft seem to work really well. With the gel gloss. Without the gel gloss, it's a little too thin for me, but it is an option. And to answer the person who left the comment on my one of my videos a couple months back, if you could use ready pour paints as opposed to mixing up, you know, all these paints with pouring mediums. The Artists Loft, yes you can. Here's one answer. The next video I'm going to be showing is where we tested out the Artists Ready Pour paints, and so we'll see how those shape up, and if it's like this Artists Loft or something different. You know, all of these ready pour paints, you know, they've not only got color in them, but they've also have, you know, different ingredients to make up their pouring medium and to make it fluid. So I can't, you know, they could act similar or they could be completely different, but these are the two I had on hand. So I just wanted to say, if you have a different brand, I know a lot more brands are coming out with these ready pour paints. I think I've seen PBO have it, and I know a few others, but I just can't think of them right now. If you happen to have them, I encourage you to, you know, maybe experiment with them to see if maybe it'll work for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I really had a lot of fun experimenting with this and putting this together, and I hope it brought some value and shed some light on the ready pour paints, at least the Artists Loft, for you. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.